Why is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Well, the other
Sorry.
one that's insane is, I believe it was Waylon Jennings was on the same tour with Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, the Big Bopper.
Yes.
And you know this story, which I did not know. So they flipped a coin to see who was going to take the
Who was
plane ride and
going?
who was going to ride the bus. And
Yes.
after they flipped, and I guess Richie Valens won the coin toss, something like that. And as they're leaving, like to turn to go back to the bus, Waylon Jennings says, "I hope you crash."
Oh, I didn't know he
And
said
that was
that.
the last thing he said to them, and apparently, obviously haunted him for the rest of his life.
Oh my
That was like
God.
the last words to his friends. Can you imagine?
Okay, first of all, they clearly weren't friends. You can't say that. I would never say that to you. No matter how mad I am, I would never say that.
I don't
I would never
I
tempt
think it
fate
was
like
in
that.
right. I mean, I'm guessing
I
it
would
was in
be like, I
jest,
hope they
but
forgot there's no bar on the plane, or I hope
right, I
they
hope
ran
there's
out
no
of
peanuts.
peanuts. Right. Like,
Right.
I mean, I hope the movie is alive.
Titanic.
Like
Right, yeah.
things like that. Titanic.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
No, I told you I saw Alive on a plane to Australia once.
That's insane.
That was
Really?
my
You didn't
in-flight
tell me.
movie. I'm flying to Australia to see my parents by myself in college when I developed this horrible fear of flying. So I was already like freaked the fuck out. And my in-flight movie was
Right.
Alive.
Don't they check those kind of things?
Apparently not. Not in the 90s anyway.
Because I feel like, well, I remember taking the studio tour at CNN, and this does come back. And like one of the things was like, oh, here's all the editing bays for CNN Airport. And they had their own like production studio for the CNN Airport. And the like tour guide was like, well, you know, the one thing that like makes CNN Airport different than any other CNN network? And the answer is that they do not show plane accidents, because apparently watching planes crash right before you board a plane is not kind of great mojo to be putting out there.
No, nobody likes that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But they put on Alive? I mean, are they like
Alive?
What's the motivation? Is like, right, not everyone died.
It was a big movie. I don't know. Maybe it's like, here's where your life preserver is. Here's the oxygen mask. And by the way, just in case, here's how you cook your fellow passengers or eat them raw.
Yeah, our in-flight movies today are Alive, La Bamba, and Leonard Skinner. Was it Freebird? The movie was the live film.
Yes.
It would have been better
Maybe
if I
Air
knew
Force
that as
One.
the punchline.
It's okay. It still tracks.
Well, that's kind of up. Yeah, yeah.
But even like Titanic, to your earlier point, like I bet you they showed Titanic on planes when that film came out.
Oh, I saw it on a plane. I saw it on a plane.
There you go. That's almost as bad. I mean, it's not as bad as a plane crash when you're on a plane, but like, do they have it on demand on a cruise ship? And in any mode of transportation, it's probably, I mean, I don't know that I'd want to watch Speed on a plane. Any sort of public transportation and a disaster that happens on a mode of public transportation, not really great.
Well, I just remember I had seen it previously, and so it was a flight back from France, and kind of realizing as the movie's going on, I'm like, they didn't edit this for the airplane, and they edited everything for the airplane. And it's on all those little TVs in front of everybody. And then when Leo starts painting Kate like one of her French girls, I like look up in every single screen. I'm like, this is very bizarre. I'm shocked nobody raised holy hell that their children were exposed to such lasciviousness.
Yeah. Okay, but it's worse now because now you can watch whatever it's like on demand. You get to pick. I mean, I could pull up Reservoir Dogs if I wanted to. Yeah, but there's usually some things
Yeah,
that
but
have
it's
plenty of yeah, there are.
well,
They
true.
don't cut it all out.
It's
I
true.
mean,
I always end up
it's
watching a documentary that is way more graphic than I realize at the beginning of the flight.
yeah, always, of
The
course.
worst one was, what was the name of the movie? It was about one of these, LA communes in the '70s where they recorded,
Okay,
like, 50 albums,
and you didn't know that
and,
that would
like, it was
have stuff in it.
oh, wait for it. No, like, I was thinking, like, well, it's like a very spiritual and higher plane and all this, so I for some reason, I was like, "I don't think there's gonna be much nudity, I think I'll be okay." I wasn't expecting the live birth. That's where they lost
Oh,
me.
Jesus. Oh,
And I'm just, like, trying to look cool and just be like, "No, I just watch this kinda thing all the time, it's fine." Like, if I feel, in a public situation like that, I feel like if I act like this is weird,
right.
everyone's gonna act like it's weird.
No, it
Whereas
has to just be normal.
if I'm just a guy who gets on planes and watches people giving birth, hey, that's normal.
That's who
What's
you
the big
are.
deal?
You could be an OB-GYN
Right.
for all they know, doing your continuing
Exactly.
education.
So Concrete Cowboy is your first screen role. It seems like a good one to start out with.
Yeah, I'd say so. If you're gonna start out, why not start out as the wife of like the biggest star in the world at the moment?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I had any control over that. But
Did you?
I mean, I've been auditioning my whole life, and it just so happened that this was the one. So pretty cool. Pretty cool to start out.
Yeah, and now this isn't obviously your first gig. You've done a ton of
Correct.
stage work,
Yeah.
in New York, Philly, Washington, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing theater for about 25 years altogether. I mean, I started when I was young, and we all do the school plays, in elementary school they make you be in. But
Right,
I quickly found that I was like the only kid in the class taking it super seriously. Like I was like, these are important auditions, you guys, and you
right.
know, and it just carried on up through high school, up through college. um, I had some other detours along the way. I'm also a musician and a singer and all kinds of other things. But
Mhm.
it was always, ever since I was a kid, it was like, I want to be the girl that makes movies. Who's making movies? How do they do that?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that was always it. And it just took me a while to get here, which I'm fine with.
Yeah. Oh, you're here. That's all that
I'm
matters.
here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How hard was it for you to switch over, to sort of put together a character and create a
Mm,
character over a scene, a series of shots and sequences that are out of order compared to doing it on the stage where it is you
right.
have 2 hours to build this
Yeah,
person?
it's just a bulldoze through. Yeah, it's different. Um, in some ways, I've always been prepared for it. All during, college and any theater class I ever had, I always heard, "You're a film actress, aren't you?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, what do you mean by that?" And they'd be like, "You need to make it bigger for the stage."
Right.
So there was always a little bit of that screen actress, I guess, in me. But um, the biggest differences for me, it's like when you're on stage, you have the immediate reaction of the audience. Whereas for the film, you know, my first day on set, I had to show up at noon, but I didn't get in front of a camera until about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So it's what do you do for those, 4.5, 5 hours where you need to be ready to go when they say, "Okay, Liz, we need you." Um,
Right.
but you're also not just like exhausting yourself with those 4 hours. So that was hard in terms of like, I need to keep this level for the whole day, that was
Right.
hard. Um, but again, I think part of it was I was so excited that it was my first film and that it was,
Right.
such a big deal that it was almost like, they had to calm me down sometimes. They had to be like,
Right.
okay, just wait, go back in your trailer and wait. And I'm like, I'm ready
Yeah.
now. I'm ready. You ready? You
Yeah.
need me? So it was fun in that sense. But yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, they say with film, it's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yep.
and that's, yeah, it's very true. So bit of an adjustment, but I enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoyed the downtime. I had my own trailer. That's the trippiest thing ever. Um, it
Mhm.
was fun. Just be like, yeah, I'm hanging out in my trailer. I'm just gonna watch some TV. So yeah, you make it work.
Yeah. No, and from my experience on film, 4 hours, they treated you got in and out of there quickly.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
they
I
didn't expect you
mean,
to.
that was the first day, and
Ah,
yeah, there were other days. I mean, we'd shoot one scene, um, and then my next scene wasn't until like 9 o'clock at night. So you can't go home. You got to
right.
stay. So you got to figure out, and it's weird. It's not like you can lay down because you can't mess up the hair.
Mhm.
So you gotta figure it out. But I had music played a really big role in keeping me in character and also keeping me kind of relaxed between. So I did play a lot of music. I watched some TV on my phone, and um, I happened to be in a cast with people who have done quite a bit more than I have. So I got to chit chat with a lot of people too, which was fun. So
See if they can get you Ava DuVernay's cell phone number.
yeah, somebody's like, come on,
I
guys.
was looking down the list, like, everybody's been in something she's done.
Yeah,
It's
right.
insane.
She's on my list of people, that I definitely want to work with. And Jerome was in our movie,
Right.
who, worked with her, and I got to meet him. I met him on my very last day after I wrapped. Literally, they were like, "That's a wrap for Liz Priestley," and I was like, "Ah," and then this person comes up to me, he's like, "Hi, I'm Jerome." you know, but yeah, it was surreal. The whole thing
And
was surreal.
that's the thing always people don't completely get, that all of the cast are not hanging out on set
Right.
all the time, that
Right.
it's you're there
Yeah.
Tuesday, Thursday, then you don't bother coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I basically had the majority of my scenes with Idris. I had one day, one and a half days really, and then the rest of the time was me and Caleb.
Mhm.
So a lot of the, like Method Man, Lorraine Toussaint, Jarrell Jerome, Byron Bowers, I didn't really get to see them until I was done and just kind of
Right.
hanging out because I was like, I want to go home. It's
Of
one of
course.
those, but
Yeah.
yeah.
How much research do you do for the role? Do you do, like, a character breakdown? How much does the director or the writer give you to work with?
Well, on this particular film, because of the historical framework, this community of Black cowboys in Philadelphia at Fletcher Street stables, there was a wealth of information for me to turn to in terms of like, what is this story about and who are these people? Because they're real. Um, my character, she's not in that community. I'm the one from Detroit who, I bring my son into this setting. Um, so for me, it was interesting because during the audition process, my character was written very differently than how she ends up in the film. In the audition process, she was written as a drug addict who I believe she was actually going to rehab at one point in the script. And they were being like evicted out of the apartment and all this other stuff. So for me, my research really was just getting into the character mindset of what's it like to lose your home, to feel like you have no other options and be at the end of your rope. So I actually, the stuff about, the Black Cowboys and Fletcher Street, I kind of was a little bit late to that. Um,
Mhm.
but I will say, when I got cast, I didn't even know that they existed. I had no clue. And I'm from here. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
live here. Um, I had no clue. I remember when I got cast, I asked the person, I was like, is this a fantasy story? Like, who made this up? And they were like, no, no, no. These are real people. I was like,
Right.
oh, so I did a little bit of research just on my own once I found out, oh, this is a real community. Um, just kind of read some articles. But for me personally, for my character, I really just kind of um I went a little method, which is not something I would normally do, but I stayed up for about 48 hours, made sure I looked really tired, and I was crying a lot, and I just kind of went in with the mindset of like, I'm at the end of my rope, I'm exhausted, and that was really all I needed to do to get into that space for the scene that they wanted me to do. Um, yeah, so I mean, little bit here and there, and then kind of towards the end, I really started looking up more about, Fletcher Street and about the Black Cowboys. So
Right. And you mentioned you had a playlist going to stay in character while you're on set. Was
yeah,
that what? A lot of Leonard Cohen?
you know,
Just super depressing music?
super depressing music.
Yeah.
They make a mention in the source material, because this is based on a book, Ghetto Cowboy,
Right.
and then in the film as well, where my son got his name. His name is Cole, which is short for Coltrane, and there is a specific John Coltrane song that they mention quite a bit in the script, and so that was like the first half of my playlist was that song like 6 times. You know what I mean? Just because again, it was such a meaningful song for my character and for
Right.
Idris Elba's character. Um, so I listened to that a lot of John Coltrane, and then from that, I was able to then add to it. So I brought in some Miles Davis. I brought in some like old school, like Bonnie Raitt, old school, James Taylor, kind of keeping in that cowboy theme. Um,
Mhm.
but just songs that would really not necessarily make me sad, but definitely make me sit and contemplate. You know what I mean? Really
Right.
just kind of
Yeah.
be deep in thought. So yeah, it's more like that. But definitely John Coltrane. Trying to think of the name of the song. I can't believe I can't remember it.
I mean, even just Love Supreme is like, "Oh, that would work. I could see
And
that."
that would
You know?
work. I mean, that would.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, jazz is so beautiful and so evocative of different emotions and things. So it's a wonderful type of music to really get you into that headspace. So I was kind of glad
Yeah.
that they mentioned Coltrane, because then once I picked the song out, I was just like every day just listening to it, even on my way down to the set, just getting myself right into that headspace. So yeah.
And how does that compare with how Idris Elba works since you guys had scenes together?
I didn't get to see a ton of his process, because we each had about 8 or 9 days on the set,
Mhm.
but we only had one day that overlapped. So he was there before me. Um, but what I did get to see with him, he seemed like, first of all, he seemed super comfortable in the role, which was cool. I know he was working with like a dialect coach who was actually a friend of mine. But other than that, I mean, he just seemed to be very like stand back and observe what's going on and then kind of walk into the scene and do his thing. But I noticed he would, when the shots were being set up or when, things were happening, he'd just kind of be off to the side looking, just kind of checking things out. And then when it would be his time, he'd just kind of walk in, do the thing. And yeah, it was great. He was very easygoing, really fun
Mhm.
to work with. We got to chat a little bit um, between takes, and it was just like the most nerve wracking thing I've ever done. Like
Yeah, sounds
more
about
than the
right.
acting with him was just talking. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, but he's a sweetheart. He's so nice, and
So it's
I heard that there were nights they had like a week of night shoots, and I only had to be there for one of those. But he, during the night, he's just sitting around the campfire with the other cowboys, just like shooting the breeze and having a beer. Like I was like, that's cool. That's cool. You know,
yeah.
yeah.
So it worked well. You guys are sort of complementary.
I
Because
think
obviously in
so.
playing spouses, there's a certain level of comfort one has to have with that person.
It's interesting because, in this situation, I think on other films, we would have met beforehand. We would have had a chemistry read. We would have made sure we looked together on screen. None of that happened. And my first day on set, I met Caleb, and then 2 seconds later, we're up on a horse. And then, 10 seconds after that, there's another guy on a horse and it's Idris. It's like, what? Um, yeah, but it was even from the first time we ran through our scene, which is, kind of emotional. It's very powerful. I felt like we were on the same page and there had not
Hmm.
been a discussion prior. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's just that good. I don't know.
Right.
But it just, like it felt very easy, very natural. And I had a great, how hard can it be to be in a scene
Well,
where you have to hug Idris Elba? I mean, how
right.
bad, how
No, I'd be
horrible.
thrilled for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and what about Caleb? What was it like working with someone who's got so much experience already under
I
his belt
I'm
on
blown
camera?
away. I'm blown away by Caleb McLaughlin. Like I know, going into this, everybody's, talking to me about Idris, right? They're like, oh, Idris, and he's great. And he is great. But the majority of my scenes were with Caleb. And he was 17 when we shot. And I was blown away. He seemed to have never ending energy, which I know when you're 17, it's like that, but
Right.
it's still impressive when you see
Hmm.
it. Um, and it seemed like he tackled every scene head on. And I was so grateful to him for being so gracious with me coming in. Who am I, right? He has no idea who I am. He has no idea if I've even had any experience or whatever. And I never felt like he was being condescending towards me or that he didn't think I could do it. It was just always from the second I was there, like, hey, you ready? Let's go. Um, he's really fun. He's so fun. And yeah, I'm excited. We were kind of in the same boat a little bit on this because this is his first feature film, like his first starring role in a
Mm.
feature. And it's my first film. And then the director, it's his first feature film because he's only done short films up till now. So the three of us had a few moments where, we'd be kind of off to the side, like, can you believe this? Can you believe this? And I'm looking at Caleb like, can you believe it? Um, but it was just like for him to even say like this is going to be really great for us. I'm like, you're already there as far as I'm concerned. You're
Right.
already there. But it was, cool that he even thought like, hey, we're in a similar. Cool.
Well,
Yeah,
and I'm
he
sure,
was awesome. I would love to do more movies with Caleb or TV with Caleb. He's just great. Really great.
what, and I mean, so much of that, a scene or an actor is only as good as their scene partner,
Yeah.
especially if you're having these heavy emotional scenes. So,
Yeah.
you, again, very nice of all the films to start out with. You start out with, two incredibly talented, skilled, seasoned
Yeah.
actors to
I
play off of and kind of learn from.
I definitely lucked out in that. I mean, I can't believe I mean, I say this to people now. I'm like, I'm still pinching myself on a daily basis over a year later, being like, did that
Hmm.
actually? Oh, it happened. Okay, it did happen. Okay. Because it's just like, I can't even believe. And, poor Caleb, all my scenes with him, I'm angry. And there's like a scene where I'm like literally just like hitting him. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, go for it. Let's do it. And then we did a take and I just, wham, I let him have it. And he, look at me after the take, like, you know, I had such a ball. I had such a ball. It was, if I never do anything else, I hope I get to, but even if
Right.
I never do this, I could die happy and just knowing that I lived my dream, even just for one movie. You know what I mean? But I
Hmm.
hope I get to do
Definitely.
more. I hope so.
Yeah. Now, when you were shooting, there was a lot of buzz about your co-star. Did you
Yes.
ever suggest to Idris that if he were to play James Bond, that he'd need a new Moneypenny and that you were willing to do an English accent? Because if you haven't, I might just shoot him an email because you never
Well,
know what he's thinking.
we
You
did
just want to be
bring
like,
up
hey,
James
in case.
Bond briefly. I said, when we were chatting that one time, I said, "Oh," because I was saying, I was like, "Man, you're really impressive. You're an actor, you're a DJ, you're a rapper now." And he was kind of, um, he is a rapper. I rapped his rap song back to him, and he laughed at me because I don't know if you could
Oh,
tell by
very
my
nice.
voice, but I'm not a rapper. So he laughed
Me
in my
too.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's like, whatever. But we did. I said, and every other month I hear you're in the running to play James Bond. And he basically was like, I don't know, I think that ship might have sailed. And I was just like, don't say that. There are so many people that would just love to see him take that role. I don't really understand the pushback on that. He would be fabulous. And if he does, he's got my number.
I
So
was
I mean,
gonna
I could be a
say,
Bond
yeah,
girl. I'm just saying, give me a couple
yeah,
months to get in shape. That's all I'm
yeah,
saying. Just give me the courtesy of going to the gym for like, 2 months or so, and then we can make
yeah.
it work. But I'm all on
No,
board. We could get
you definitely
Ricky.
want to just definitely just check in with him
Yeah,
and say, hey, I'm available.
I'm saying,
Yeah,
just give me some gym
exactly.
time, and I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready. I will. No acting required to be a Bond
right,
girl with Idris
exactly.
Elba. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, he would be such a great Bond. I don't know why uh people have
I
been.
always hear the age thing. Well, there's the age thing, but then there's also the fact that people are racist. But
Yeah,
I feel like the most uh, reasonable argument is the age.
it's
Like
the
by the
age thing.
time,
But my thing to
but
that is like, how long did Roger Moore do it? I mean, past when he
yeah,
should have been doing it, right?
right,
But
yeah,
he still did it. And I mean, honestly, like A View to a Kill is like one of my favorite Bond films. It's
yeah,
so bad,
yeah,
but I love it. And he
and
was
like
way too old. Way
oh,
too old.
completely. But 55 and 60 today are not what 55 and 60
It's
were.
true. It's true. I don't know.
So
I feel like we ought to give Idris like just one Bond film, at least one.
it's a courtesy at this
Yeah,
point for all of us, really.
honestly,
Um,
I just or we could give him like another Bond spin-off, like what's the one? Not Moonraker, but what's the one that's like a Bond movie but not a Bond movie really? I can't think of
you
what
mean
it is.
Never Say Never Again?
Yes,
The
maybe
Connery
that's
one?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could give
It
him
would
we
not
could give him
hurt.
a better one.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's do like a better one.
So, Concrete Cowboy was supposed to premiere at Toronto. Or no, it
Yes,
did premiere at Toronto. It was supposed to be at
it did.
Telluride.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, if you need a plan B, Toronto,
I mean, not
very
a bad
fine
way to
festival.
go. Not a bad way
Yeah.
to go.
So,
Yeah,
when is it coming out?
that I don't know. The last I heard was there were negotiations happening. I'm not at liberty to say with who, but
Right, of course.
I heard that there were some very strong negotiations happening, and that we're looking at most likely early next year. But as far as like a specific date, they have not told me. So
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I'm hoping they tell me soon, because it's getting to the point now where people are like, my friends and family are like, "Did you really make this movie, or did you Photoshop those pictures you showed us? Because
Yep.
I don't think
Yeah.
this was a real thing." And I'm like, "No, I swear, it's real."
Yeah. Very good news for Liz and for you. Concrete Cowboy is available to stream right now on Netflix.
You can follow us on all the various socials. Our website is whythepodcast.com and has all sorts of additional stories and videos. It's also where you can sign up for our newsletter. We're also on YouTube if you're into that kind of thing. And don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes, because if you don't, we'll call your mother and tell her that she's completely right. You would look so much prettier if you smiled more.
Why the Podcast is part of Mudhouse Media. Today's show was produced by myself and Heidi Hegquist. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing executive producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our graphic designer is Samantha Mustonen. The theme song was performed by the Electrosynth-O-Magnetic Polyphonic Orchestra. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?